underscore the ongoing tensions and concerns in Canada-India relations. Meanwhile, Justin Trudeau seems to be getting isolated on global platform with each passing day. And in this context, Sri Lankan Finance Minister, while reacting on the India-Canada row, said that Canada is safe haven for terrorists. Take a listen.
Yeah, we have always suffered, and some of the terrorists have found safe haven in Canada. Canadian Prime Minister has this way of just coming out with some outrageous allegations without any supporting proof. The same thing they did for Sri Lanka, a terrible, total lie about saying that Sri Lanka had a genocide. Everybody knows there was no genocide in our country. And I saw yesterday he had gone and given a rousing welcome to somebody who have associated with the Nazis in the past on the Second World War. So this is questionable, and we have dealt it in the past. We have categorically rejected those outrageous allegations. So I'm not surprised that sometime Prime Minister Trudeau comes out with outrageous, unsubstantiated allegations. Yeah, that has actually affected our relationship. People to people, we have good contact. Foreign Ministry has a different take on that. Ministry of Global Affairs has very clearly said that Sri Lanka did not go through a genocide. Whereas the Prime Minister, as a politician, stand up and says that genocide had taken place. That itself is contradictory to each other. That doesn't help. I don't think anyone should poke their nose into the other countries and tell as to how we should govern our country. Yeah, that's a conversation going on for some period of time. India has expressed its concerns for a long period of time. But we have now come out with a SOP, standard operate procedure. When we were making that, we consulted many of our friends, including India. So as long as that comply with the SOP, we have no problem. But if it doesn't comply with the SOP, we have a problem. So therefore, as far as I know, we have not given the permission to come to Sri Lanka during the month of October. So there are negotiations going on, but Indian security concerns, which are legitimate, are very, very important for us. We have always told that because we want to keep our region as a zone of peace.
Also, the United States has been putting pressure on India by urging cooperation with Canada in the investigation into the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Now, the matter remains a point of contention between India and Canada, with various nations weighing in on the issue. Do remember, in fact, it was the New York Times that just yesterday in a report claimed that it was nobody else but the United States which provided the so-called intelligence to Canada. On that, we have a reaction coming in. Let's listen in.
Say is we are deeply concerned by the allegations referenced by Prime Minister Trudeau. We remain in close contact with our Canadian partners, as the Secretary said on Friday. We believe it's critical that Canada's investigation proceed and that the perpetrators be brought to justice. And we have publicly and privately urged the Indian government to cooperate in the Canadian investigation.
Not only Sri Lanka, but Bangladesh has also backed New Delhi over Trudeau's baseless allegations. Listen in.
I think it is very sad. I don't know the detail of it, so I cannot make any comment. But we believe, we are very proud of India because they don't do immature things. We have a very solid relationship with India, and these are based on values and principles. So this is a sad episode. I hope this should end up amicably.
Well, tensions between India and Canada have escalated ever since Justin Trudeau made a baseless remark against India, claiming the involvement of the Indian authorities into the murder of Khalistani terrorist Nijjar. Now, the tensions, as I mentioned, have only escalated further following Canada's acquisition of India's involvement in the killing of Khalistani terrorist Nijjar, and there are various developments ever since that have taken place. For example, India announcing the cancellation of visas for Canadians, and also India issuing an advisory urging its citizens to exercise caution. In a similar advisory that has been issued by Canada today, in fact yesterday, it also asked its citizens to be cautious given the deteriorating ties between both the countries. Now here, an important in fact, aspect to it is to take a look at the kind of role that the United States has played, while it also wants India to believe that the United States is a friend and United States wants to work in tandem with India. But on the other side, there is a New York Times report that says that United States, in fact, provided the intel to Canada, claiming that India is allegedly involved in the murder of Khalistani terrorist Nijjar. In that regard also, we have a few other updates that are coming in. It is, in fact, the NIA now has given Canada the reality check that it needed. Regarding Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who already was a designated terrorist. Now here, big revelation by the NIA. In fact, in its charge sheet, it says Hardeep Singh Nijjar, the chief of Khalistan Tiger Force, was in fact a Canadian citizen. That's something that has been revealed in NIA's charge sheet. Arshdeep, who is also known as Arsh Dalla, and Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who had taken refuge in Canada, were running a terror company. Now also the Indian government had declared Arsh Dalla and Hardeep Singh Nijjar global terrorists through a Gazette notification. Now in the notification, in fact, the government stated that Arshdeep, who is also known as Arsh Dalla, is residing in Canada. He was involved in activities such as targeted killings, extortion, terrorist funding, attempted murder, and spreading hatred among various communities, spreading terror among the people of Punjab. He is also, in fact, very close to Hardeep Singh. He was very close to Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who also is a designated terrorist, a declared terrorist. Now, NIA in its charge sheet also revealed that global terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar and Arshdeep Singh formed a terrorist gang and, in fact, recruited Lovepreet Singh, who also goes by the name Ravi, Ram Singh, also known as Sona, Gagandeep Singh, also known as Gagga, and Kamaljeet Sharma, also known as Kamal, by offering them Canadian visas and enticing them with job opportunities, assigning them the task of spreading terror in Punjab. Extortion money is said to have reached Canada through Hawala. The NIA has disclosed in its charge sheet that Arshdeep Singh also, in fact, and Hardeep Singh Nijjar, in collaboration with their gang, used to send details of their targets, provide weapons, and even fund shooters through various MTSS channels to spread terror. And as I just mentioned, that the money from extortion reached Canada through Hawala, which was facilitated by Arshdeep. This is the, in fact, NIA charge sheet. This is the revelation made by the NIA in its charge sheet, and this is the reality check that has been given to Justin Trudeau, a much needed reality check. That's NIA there dropping truth bomb on Canada. Well, in connection with the same, US President Joe Biden and other Western leaders reportedly expressed their concern with Prime Minister Narendra Modi about Canadian claims that New Delhi was involved in the murder of a Sikh separatist in Vancouver at the G20 summit. Now, this is what the Financial Times has reported. According to the report, several members of the Five Eyes, which includes, this is the intelligence network, which includes the US, the UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, it raised the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar with Narendra Modi. The report says, and I quote, "One said Biden felt it was important to address the issue directly with his Indian counterpart. The White House, in fact, declined to comment on whether Biden had discussed the issue with Prime Minister Modi at the G20. Now, the leaders intervened at the G20 summit after Canada urged its allies to raise the case directly with Prime Minister Narendra Modi." This is what Two people who are familiar with the situation have in fact told the Financial Times, and some other people who also are aware of the development added that Ottawa asked them to mention the claims in private. Now, there are in fact developments which are taking place vis-a-vis the India-Canada standoff, and in the latest there is a Financial Times report which claims that the issue was raised, the Hardeep Singh Nijjar killing issue was raised by United States President with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and there were other Western leaders also who expressed their concern with Prime Minister Narendra Modi about the killing, about the murder of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in fact in Vancouver. Now this little chit chat is said to have taken place at the G20 summit which took place earlier this month. While there has been no official word from the Indian government on this report, there is absolutely no mention anywhere. There are no readouts of the meeting that mention any such conversation that potentially could have taken place between United States President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Do remember that in fact US has been claiming that it has very healthy ties with India. It claims that United States is a friend of India, but the question is it really a friend, given that the New York Times report also claims that it was in fact the United States that gave the so-called intel to Canada. Switching our focus to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, there appears to have been a massive jolt to Russia, and in fact, in latest update on the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, Ukraine's special forces reported on Monday that they had carried out a missile attack last week on the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea fleet, which resulted in the deaths of Moscow's top admiral and 33 other officers. The attack also wounded 105 individuals. The Russian Defense Ministry has not yet confirmed or denied these reports. Now, this strike, if verified, would represent a significant blow to Russia in a region it annexed from Ukraine in 2014. In Crimea particularly, it's important to note that both sides in the conflict have sometimes exaggerated enemy losses and been reticent about disclosing their own. Now, Ukraine has been increasing its attacks in the Black Sea region and on the Crimean Peninsula, incorporating missiles alongside assault drones. They've stated that destroying the Russian Black Sea fleet would expedite the end of the ongoing war. A massive jolt to Russia there. Now, as a response to the recent Ukrainian attacks, the Russian installed governor of the city, in fact, held a meeting to enhance defense and attack warning systems, acknowledging the need for a systematic response to the evolving threat landscape. There has been no official word of Russia on the claims that have been made by Ukraine vis-a-vis, in fact, this particular development that is now coming to light, that Russia Black Sea Fleet commander has been killed. Do remember, this is the claim that has been made by Ukraine. There is no official word from the Russian end so far. Ukraine's special forces, this is what they've reported, that they carried out a missile attack last week on the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet in Crimea, resulting in the death of Moscow's top admiral and 33 other officers. Well, back home, Bengaluru and other parts of Karnataka are seeing mixed response to the Bandh call given by farmer bodies, Kannada organizations and opposition parties. The Bandh was called to protest against the release of water from the Cauvery river in Karnataka to neighbouring Tamil Nadu. Schools and colleges in Bengaluru have been shut along with eateries and restaurants. Section 144 has been imposed in the city, under which gatherings of more than 5 people will not be permitted. Since there was no consensus for the Bandh between farmer organizations and pro-Kannada organizations, the farmers have called for a Bandh today, while the pro-Kannada activists have called for a Bandh on the 29th of this month. Few of the farmer activists have been arrested and moved out as Section 144 is in place. Now that's the development coming in from the southern end of our country. Bengaluru is giving a mixed response to the Bandh call that has been given by various organizations over the Cauvery row. In fact, the city and some other parts of the state in Karnataka are seeing a mixed response to the Bandh call that has been given by farmer bodies, Kannada organizations and various other opposition parties.
Now we are thinking about drinking water. We are fighting about drinking water. So before last 4-5 years back, Supreme Court judgment, you see, very important issue. Drinking water is a very important. Whichever government taken, very important issue, drinking water, essential. So that we are demanding for the save our Karnataka people, our Bengaluru people, so that we are declaring the Bandh.
There, in fact, the Bandh is seeing a mixed response, and there appears to be a confusion as various farmer bodies and other organizations have decided to call for Bandh on different days. The Bandh was called to protest against the release of water from the Cauvery river in Karnataka to neighbouring Tamil Nadu. Schools and colleges are shut in the city along with eateries and restaurants. And Section 144 has also been imposed in the city, and under this, the gathering of more than 5 people will not be permitted. The, in fact, directive from the Cauvery Water Management Authority stated that asked Karnataka to extend the release of 5,000 cusecs of water to Tamil Nadu for an additional 15 days. That seems to be the point of contention. And there appears that there was no consensus for the Bandh between farmer organizations and pro-Kannada organizations, and which is why the farmers decided to call for a Bandh today, while the pro-Kannada activists, primarily led by Vatal Nagaraj, they have decided to call for a Bandh on the 29th of this month. Do remember that earlier this week only, Siddaramaiah had urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to step in and help mediate the dispute between the two states regarding the Cauvery matter. While speaking to the media, he had also said that the Prime Minister has the authority to summon the two states and hear their arguments. Given this background, given this context, we have requested the Prime Minister, we've requested the centre to intervene and in fact help mediate the dispute between the two states. Switching our focus to Punjab now, a big political development is coming in from Punjab, where Congress leader Pratap Bajwa has made a big claim. He says that 32 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs in Punjab are in touch with him, and in fact he also says that the Congress has 18 of its own MLAs and the party just needs to put in a little more effort to form government in the state. He claims that the Congress party will contest separately on 13 Lok Sabha seats. Bajwa also says that after the Lok Sabha results, the Aam Aadmi Party government will not last for more than 2 months. Let's listen in.
Completely ਕਰਜ਼ਾਈ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਕੋਈ ਰਸਤਾ ਹੋਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਦਾ ਰਾਹ ਵਿਖਾਉਂਦਾ ਤੇ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕ ਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ 7-8 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਮੇਰੀ ਅਪੀਲ ਹੈ ਸਮੂਹ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਹਰ ਵਰਗ ਨੂੰ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਈਸਾਈ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਦਲਿਤ ਵਰਗ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਪਛੜੀਆਂ ਸ਼੍ਰੇਣੀਆਂ, ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਭੈਣਾਂ ਨੇ। ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈ 13 ਦੀਆਂ 13 ਸੀਟਾਂ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਨੇ ਲੜਨੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਸਾਡਾ ਸਮਰਥਨ ਦਿਓ। 13 ਸੀਟਾਂ ਤੇ ਜਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਯਕੀਨ ਦਿਵਾਨਾ ਹੈ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਇਹ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 13 ਸੀਟਾਂ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਤਾਓਗੇ 2 ਮਹੀਨਾ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੱਟੇਗੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਿਨੀਮਮ 32 ਬੰਦੇ ਮੌਜੂਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਐਮਐਲਏ ਨੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਟੱਚ ਨੇ, 32 ਆਦ 18 ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਨੇੜੇ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਏ, ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਮਾਰਨਾ ਚਿੱਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੁੱਟ ਦਿਓ।
Well, talking about the developments that are coming forth from Manipur. Now, disturbing images of 2 missing Manipuri students have surfaced on social media. One depicts their lifeless bodies while the other shows them in a state of fear, accompanied by armed individuals. The Manipur Chief Minister's office has confirmed their identities and is collaborating with the CBI and state agencies for a thorough investigation into their kidnapping and murder. The pictures dated 8th of July have gone viral since the restoration of internet services in the state on the 23rd of September, sparking outrage. Both students were from the Meitei community, and it is very saddening that the situation in Manipur is just getting out of hand every passing day. More than 150 people have lost their lives and over 3,000 people have been injured since ethnic violence broke out on the 3rd of May when a tribal solidarity march was organized in the hill districts to protest against the Meitei community's demand for scheduled tribe status. Around 40,000 central security personnel besides the Manipur police were deployed to control the violence and bring back normalcy in the state. Now that's in fact their photos showing 2 missing students killed. The government has assured that there will be a swift action that will be taken in this regard. The CBI in fact is said to have taken over the case. These 2 students have been identified as Hijam and Fijam. Chief Minister N. Biren Singh has assured strict action into the matter. These photographs have gone viral on the social media. Their parents still in fact were hoping that they would come back. All of their hopes have been shattered given that their dead bodies now have been found. These 2 students, in fact students were from the Meitei community, which is going to further escalate the tensions between the 2 communities. It already in fact has been over 3 months since an ethnic violence broke out between Meiteis and the Kuki community in Manipur on the 3rd of May. Manipur continues to remain on the edge. There have been several gut-wrenching visuals that have come forth from Manipur, be it in fact the women being paraded naked in Manipur, and now be it the 2 students whose bodies have been found. Their photographs have gone viral on social media. The videos have gone viral on social media, and it is worth noting that internet was restored in Manipur just 2 days ago. The Chief Minister's office has confirmed their identities and is also collaborating with the CBI and state agencies for a thorough investigation into their kidnapping and murder. The students have been identified as 17-year-old Hijam and 20-year-old Fijam. A statement released by the Chief Minister's Secretariat states that it has come to the notice of the state government that the photos of 2 students, Fijam and Hijam, who have been missing since July 2023, have surfaced on social media. The case has already been handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation. The statement further says that the state police, in collaboration with the central security agencies, are actively investigating the case to determine the circumstances surrounding their disappearance and to identify the perpetrators who murdered the 2 students. The security forces have also started the search operations to nab the perpetrators. In response to this distressing situation, the government has assured the people a swift action and decisive action will be taken against all those individuals who are involved in the kidnapping and killing of these 2 students. The government is committed to ensuring justice prevails and will impose severe punishment on any perpetrator found responsible for this heinous crime. That's what the statement in fact says from the Chief Minister's Secretariat. The government also has urged people to exercise caution and to let authorities handle the investigation. Well, the big show at 10 p.m. today, duologue TV9's Barun Das in candid conversation with former Indian cricketer Mithali Raj.
What happened on 8th June 2022? Sportsperson like Sania Mirza or Saina Nehwal, they get written about more than the women's cricketer.
Journalist, for some reason, doesn't like an athlete. The narrative is very different.
Don't you think that a very, very focused approach should be there to create an ecosystem for producing champions?
There are also some girls, they say like, Didi, school में तो कोई नहीं है हमारा, हम खेलना चाहते हैं लेकिन boys team में लेते नहीं है.
In the huddle, do you tell your team members that let's go and fight, or you tell them let's go and win?
The purpose of you being in the tournament, that you've come to win.
Duologue with Barun Das featuring Mithali Raj. World premiere on Connected TV. Tonight at 10. Only on Newsline Live. India's first and only digital exclusive English news stream for Connected TV. Supported by Alliance Broadband.
Welcome back. In the run-up to the upcoming assembly polls in Madhya Pradesh, the Bharatiya Janata Party has announced its second list of candidates, including 3 central ministers and several members of the parliament. Among the prominent figures in this list are Union Minister for Agriculture Narendra Singh Tomar, who will contest from Dimani, and Prahlad Patel, Minister of State and Food Processing, who will contest from Narsinghpur. Now, the decision to field senior leaders who hold ministerial positions in the Union Council of Ministers and Lawmakers is a strategic move by the party's high command to bolster its chances in the elections. Now, that's what the party officials have stated. Fuggan Singh, Minister of State for Rural Development, will also participate in the elections from Nivas, a seat that has been reserved for scheduled tribes. Several MPs including Ganesh Singh, Rakesh Singh, Riti Patak and National General Secretary Kailash Vijay Varghia have been nominated to contest. Hosangabad MP Uday Pratap Singh will be running from Gadarwara. The second list comprises 39 candidates including 6 women, and it covers 5 seats reserved for scheduled castes and 10 seats reserved for scheduled tribes. The BJP in fact had also previously announced its first list of 39 candidates in August. Party leaders and ministers, including those who are members of the Rajya Sabha, have been informed to prepare for the elections as per party insiders. The BJP aims to counter anti-incumbency sentiments and address concerns related to caste balance by fielding senior ministers and lawmakers in the polls. Now, this is a very strategic move by the BJP. Do remember what happened in the 2018 election. It was not the BJP that came to power. It was in fact the Congress that came to power. Kamal Nath was sworn in as the chief minister, but after Jyotiraditya Scindia, now the Civil Union Aviation Minister, sounded the bugle of discord, Kamal Nath government fell and it was Shivraj Singh Chauhan who was sworn in back to power. Now there are several surveys, several political experts are of the view that Congress has a fair chance to come back to power in the state, and in order to in fact make sure that the BJP is able to cut into Congress's votes, at least that seems to be the idea. The Bharatiya Janata Party has announced its second list of candidates, which features several prominent leaders and union ministers too. Now, this appears to be a strategic move, given that it may in fact enhance the chances of the BJP in the elections. However, winds do not seem to be favouring the BJP in Madhya Pradesh as of now. Kerala's second Vande Bharat Express began its regular service and is fully reserved for almost 2 days until the 2nd of October. Kerala's latest Vande Bharat Express was virtually flagged off by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 24th of September. Just a few days ago, the Prime Minister inaugurated the Vande Bharat Express. As per the schedule drawn by the Southern Railways, the train would leave Kasaragod every day except Tuesday at 7 a.m. and reach Thiruvananthapuram at 3:05 p.m. In the return journey, the train would leave Thiruvananthapuram Central at 4:05 p.m. and reach Kasaragod at 11:58 p.m. Now, the fare from Kasaragod to Thiruvananthapuram on the new VB Express is 1,555 rupees in chair car class and 2,835 in the executive class. Prime Minister, in fact, had inaugurated the Vande Bharat on the 24th of September this month, and now the train is already running in its full capacity. Well, moving on to other stories now. In a significant development, the Telangana branch of the Bharatiya Janata Party has announced that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to address a public gathering in Telangana, in Mahbubnagar of Telangana on the 30th of September. Now, this gathering will take place at 1 p.m. on the ITI ground in Bhutpur, Mahbubnagar, as revealed by Parminder Reddy, the state BJP General Secretary, in a recent press statement. Now, this public event gains particular importance as it draws closer to the upcoming state elections later this year. Initially planning a bus yatra, the state BJP leadership has changed its strategy, opting for public meetings instead across different assembly segments, hoping that, in fact, the party is now gearing up to finalize its candidates for all 119 constituencies, intending to do so in 3 phases. Interestingly, the BJP leaders assert that the overwhelming number of applications they've received from prospective candidates is a testament to the party's substantial support among the populace. However, despite this enthusiasm, the party has yet to establish a state election committee to vet the candidates and make recommendations to the central leadership. As part of its election preparations, the Saffron Party is also planning to organize public gatherings which will feature Union Home Minister Amit Shah and BJP President JP Nadda as speakers. Now, these gatherings are expected to cover various districts in the state. Prime Minister Modi there is all set to visit Telangana to boast, in fact, the confidence of the BJP cadre. Moving on now, heavy rains have struck parts of Tamil Nadu's Vellore district, leading to the suspension of classes for students in grades 1 to 5 in Vellore and Ranipet district schools. The Indian Meteorological Department, Chennai, reports that Tamil Nadu and Puducherry are expected to experience rainfall over the next week due to a cyclonic circulation in north coastal Tamil Nadu and surrounding areas. IMD, in fact, Chennai has predicted light to moderate rain with thunderstorms and lightning in the select areas of Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and some other areas as well. Just last year, Tamil Nadu saw 45% excess rainfall, but this year has only experienced a 7% surplus so far. The northeast monsoon is set to begin in Tamil Nadu on the 18th of October with expectations of below average rainfall. Heavy rains have lashed Tamil Nadu, and in fact parts of Tamil Nadu's Vellore, The classes have been suspended there because of heavy rains which has struck parts of Tamil Nadu's Vellore. Students who are in class 1 to 5, their classes have been suspended in Vellore as well as Ranipat district schools. And the IMD has predicted no respite in the coming days. It says that in fact, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry are expected to experience more rainfall over the next week due to cyclonic circulation in north coastal Tamil Nadu and surrounding areas. Just last year, Tamil Nadu saw 45% excess rainfall, but this year it has only experienced a 7+ surplus so far. Right there, visuals on your screen, you can see roads completely inundated, people trying to, in fact, wade through the gushing water. Schools have been shut down for those children who are in grades 1 to 5 in Vellore and Ranipat district. Situation there, in fact, the authorities trying their best to in fact control the situation and get the water off the streets. Where the waterlogged streets, people facing difficulties in commuting from one place to another. The northeast monsoon is set to begin in Tamil Nadu on the 18th of October with expectations of below average rainfall. Moving on now, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met his UAE counterpart Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan on the sidelines of the 78th United Nations General Assembly session in New York City. The two ministers were happy with the rapid progress in India-UAE bilateral ties and valued regular exchange of opinions on regional and global issues. UAE and India, along with Saudi Arabia, the US and European Union had recently announced an ambitious infrastructure plan. The Indian-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor is expected to surpass the Belt and Road Initiative of China. This initiative was launched at the G20 summit in New Delhi earlier this month, and it seeks to reshape the trade route between the Gulf, Europe, South Asia. In fact, the infrastructure is expected to be an amalgamation of rail, road and sea links. Right on your screens, the visuals of the meeting that took place between External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and his UAE counterpart, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Beg your pardon. This meeting took place, in fact, on the sidelines of the 78th United Nations General Assembly sessions, which took place in the New York City. The two ministers are said to have been happy, in fact, with the rapid progress in the India-UAE bilateral ties, and they also valued regular exchange of opinions on regional and global issues. US Army's Chief of Staff General Randy George said the partnership between the US and Indian Army is vital for stability in the Indo-Pacific, and the relationship between the armies is strong and growing stronger. General George, along with 17 other Army chiefs, have arrived in New Delhi to attend the Indo-Pacific Army's Chiefs Conference. The gathering is notably the longest conference for land forces in the region.
The theme of IPAC this year is Together for Peace, Sustaining Peace and Security in the Indo-Pacific region, and that theme is a perfect choice. Strength and security are the foundations of the peace that all of our nations seek. The role of our armies is to hone our skills together. I know that as we train and learn together, our confidence in one another grows as well. And that confidence leads to unity and collective commitment across the region. And that unity and commitment are the best deterrents in the region as well. We do face a challenging strategic environment, but this is nothing new. We've overcome challenges in the past and will overcome them together in the future. To ensure that the Army, the U.S. Army, remains ready today and into the future, we and the Army are focusing on 4 areas. The first is warfighting. The second is delivering ready combat formations. The third is continuous transformation. And the fourth is strengthening our profession. Together, these 4 focus areas are a framework for action inside of our formation. And I think that there are opportunities in each area for us to work together.
Shifting our focus now, a surprise search planned by the anti-narcotics squad of the Kottayam police led to a shocking revelation at the house of a man. The suspected drug dealer had trained his dog to bite anyone wearing khaki attire. The presence of the dogs hindered the search process and also enabled the accused to escape from the police, who were focused on avoiding the attacks from the canines. However, the dogs were subdued and over 17 kilograms of ganja was seized from the site. Political activists from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir have raised slogans outside the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, calling for Islamabad to vacate Kashmir and allow them to live peacefully. These activists participated in a demonstration organized by the United Kashmir People's National Party during the 54th session of the UNHRC. Nasir Aziz Khan, UK PNP spokesperson, stated that people in Gilgit-Baltistan have been protesting against inflation and terrorism for several months. The protest also saw the participation of Pashtuns, Sindhi, Baloch and other activists in fact from Bangladesh, who jointly condemned extremism and terrorism. In recent events, a group of political activists in Muzaffarabad, the capital of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, faced arrests on the 11th of August. They were apprehended for sharing anti-Pakistan content on social media platforms. These activities, in fact, were subjected to physical abuse while in the custody at the local police station, where they were coerced into denouncing their actions and compelled to share pro-Pakistan statements on social media. There have been ongoing protests among the Baloch people in their regions. These protests are primarily directed against Chinese investments, despite high unemployment rates among the local population. The Baloch community opposes the government's decision to allow the Chinese government to initiate job opportunities and other developmental projects in their areas.
Hundreds of PTM activists around.
The big show at 10 p.m. today, Duologue, TV9's MD and CEO Barun Das in candid conversation with former Indian cricketer Mithali Raj.
What happened on 8th June 2022? Sportsperson like Sania Mirza or Saina Nehwal, they get written about more than the women's cricketer.
Journalist, for some reason, doesn't like an athlete. The narrative is very different.
Don't you think that a very, very focused approach should be there to create an ecosystem for producing champions?
There are also some girls, they say like, Didi, school में तो कोई नहीं है हमारा, हम खेलना चाहते हैं लेकिन boys team में लेते नहीं है.
In the huddle, do you tell your team members that let's go and fight, or you tell them let's go and win?
The purpose of you being in the tournament, that you've come to win.
Duologue with Barun Das featuring Mithali Raj. World premiere on Connected TV. Tonight at 10. Only on Newsline Live. India's first and only digital exclusive English news stream for Connected TV. Supported by Alliance Broadband.
Well, that is all we have in this edition of the Bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day ahead.
What happened on 8th June 2022? Sportsperson like Sania Mirza or Saina Nehwal, they get written about more than the women's cricketer.
Journalist, for some reason, doesn't like an athlete. The narrative is very different.
Don't you think that a very, very focused approach should be there to create an ecosystem for producing champions?
There are also some girls, they say like, Didi, school में तो कोई नहीं है हमारा, हम खेलना चाहते हैं लेकिन boys team में लेते नहीं है.
In the huddle, do you tell your team members that let's go and fight? Or you tell them let's go and win?
The purpose of you being in the tournament, that you've come to win.
Duologue with Parundas featuring Mithali Raj. World premiere on Connected TV. Tonight at 10. Only on Newsline Live. India's first and only digital exclusive English news stream for Connected TV. Supported by Alliance Broadband.
Telling stories is in our nature, but the way we say them has changed. Storytelling is an art going on since inception.
If you engage with people, if you tell stories well, if you make history interesting, if you make your novels thrilling, if you write beautifully, you will get an audience.
Some writers find inspiration in tragedy.
I'm looking at grim things about Sri Lanka, but also with the absurdity, you can see the funny side and at least use some black humor to...
While others believe in drama.
I believe in plot, and I believe in suspense, and I believe in, making the reader, giving the reader a reason to turn the page.
Then there are those wordsmiths who leave it to the Almighty.
I believe it's the blessings of Lord Shiva. I think that's why I received this success.
This is the story of storytelling.
From reading classic novels like Hemingway's Old Man and the Sea to seeing a story on Instagram, the consumption of storytelling has come a long way. Recently, a myth about the death of reading began doing the rounds. Books were dying. It became stronger when the use of gadgets spiked during the pandemic. Attention spans were shrinking, declared the cynics. Books or authors won't find any takers, they said. The Jaipur Literature Festival 2023 proved otherwise. A select club of literary superstars has defied all doomsday predictions. How do they manage to stay popular with purists and also make the Netflix generation turn the page?
What I have tried to find are stories which are grounded in our history, in our culture, in our thought process, in our sensibilities. I think that is a critical element of a good storyteller, that you should have enough incentive to turn the page. I try and balance out the 3 E's across my stories. So 70% entertain, 20% educate, 10% enlighten.
Writing any story is a form of detective work. You're trying to understand your characters. It's not enough to have your characters do things. We want to believe why. And if you're a good detective, you find out why and you find out how. And for me, characters show up in my mind. I don't know why they're there. I don't know how they got in the room. I don't know why they won't leave. And that doesn't happen. The novel doesn't happen until I do that detective work and figure them out.
I write from the point of view of a narrator. So once I find the narrative voice, I go, and I guess I've selected 2 humorous guys. The first one was a drunk sports journalist who was at the end of his life, but looking back, not with bitterness, with a bit of bitterness, but also with a great deal of humor and looking at the absurdity of the Sri Lankan situation. And I think similar with Mali Almeida. This was someone who was putting himself on the line, in danger, in the war zone, but also saw, again, the absurdity. And I think that's the common thread that I look at.
Look, one can give a lot of logical reasons for this, that, maybe the stories are nice, maybe the philosophies I speak of are relevant to the India of the modern age, where we are rediscovering ourselves after centuries of decline. Maybe the marketing is good. We can have a lot of logical sounding reasons, or you can listen to what I believe is the truth. People may laugh at it, I don't care. I believe it's the blessings of Lord Shiva. I think that's why I received this success.
Among the 500,000 book lovers who turned up at the Jaipur Lit Fest 2023 were thousands of young readers. Many of them queued up to get books signed by long-form storytellers.
I don't think attention spans are shrinking. People were saying this throughout the early years of this century, but at the same time, the best-selling book was Harry Potter, which was 800 pages. People are prepared to read long books and are even prepared to read difficult books if they're thrilling, engaging, well-written. I don't see why people see this as competition. People are here. We've had 500,000 people this year. It's been spectacular. And what's wonderful is that they're young. I think half of them are under 18. Most of them are under 25. We've had the hands up in their thousands, questions being asked. We've sold hundreds of thousands of books. People that think that Netflix is more exciting than Literary Festival haven't been to the Jaipur Literary Festival.
Well, I don't know if they do have reducing attention spans. I think things aren't just very interesting to them. I still have to trust the reader. I write very long and demanding books, and I have to trust that the reader is going to meet the book halfway. Dickens is the one who said, make them laugh, make them cry, make them wait. And I'm still a big believer in those three things. So in a lot of ways, I am kind of almost a classicist when it comes to novel writing, that I believe in plot, and I believe in suspense, and I believe in giving the reader a reason to turn the page. I was 6 years old when there was an attempt on Bob Marley's life. I was 6. It didn't become a novel until several decades later when I read a story about the people who tried to kill him and how we don't really know what happened to a lot of them. And the great thing about fiction can fill in blanks that history can't fill in. So I went out to fill the blanks.
If I'm not mistaken, Lee Child, who said a thriller is a story where you ask a question at the beginning and answer it by the end. And that's actually a very simple definition, but it's really, honestly, very true. And along the way, when you're answering that question and trying to bring a satisfying conclusion, you throw up many more questions in the reader's mind. What if this? What if? So you have a bunch of red herrings along the way. So in other words, you have to give enough incentive in terms of unanswered questions for the plot to go on.
How did these literary superstars evolve, particularly when humanity was paralyzed by the pandemic?
I think the pandemic has opened us up to the idea that not every story needs the same sort of approach. So for example, when I was writing The Magicians of Mazda, it was bang in the heart of the pandemic. And I suddenly found that I had to depend on multiple sources to be able to fit in the Iran pieces without going there.
I think one shouldn't try to be something. One should just engage as much as you can with the world, read as much as you can, travel, meet people of different cultures. You naturally end up evolving. Engage with as many people as you can. That will help you evolve, it will help you grow. Then that will obviously reflect in your writing as well.
Pandemic has been an entire gear shift, and it's caused a great deal of resentment between the fiction and non-fiction world, where the non-fiction writers just couldn't get to any sources, and the fiction writers were happily in their own mental landscape making merry. So I had a long list of documents and places I needed to go, and I was completely thwarted for 2 years. And when we came out, I had managed to, slim down my 2 pages of wish list places to the places I needed to go to first, which is 5 or 6. And I thought, actually, there's a reason for that, because these are the building blocks of my stories.
You can tell stories through books, through ebooks, through audiobooks. You can tell stories through novellas, through illustrated comics. You can tell those stories through movies, web series, television series. You can tell them through a Twitter thread. Stories can be told in a multiple variety of formats, and we need to be open to the idea of that story being told in multiple formats.
And the same is true of literary festivals. If you have the great authors of the day who are spectacular at putting across their views, you will get the crowds. It really won't be a problem. During the pandemic, we had Brave New World, and it's millions of viewers in China and Uzbekistan, mainly in India, followed by Britain, United States. But yeah, people were looking for, hungry for this, hungry for content. So I think it's an entirely false idea that that literary festivals or books are under threat from Netflix or from low attention spans. If you engage with people, if you tell stories well, if you make history interesting, if you make your novels thrilling, if you write beautifully, you will get an audience.
Thanks to the storytelling skills of these wordsmiths, a new generation of readers is discovering the magic of the written word. It is giving the publishing industry hope that a well-told story will have as much resonance with those seeking classic novels as those who love their poetry, haikus, and 15-second Insta stories. And there lies the tale.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
I almost did not want to find out that Rajiv Gandhi was corrupt. Is it possible for a Prime Minister of a country to tell so many lies? You cannot imagine the pressure on me by the VP Singh government to write this story, to blame Amitabh Bachchan. Mr. Modi opened the boxes. Hello, my name is Chitra Subramaniam. I am a journalist by profession. My investigations into Bofors brought down the Rajiv Gandhi government.
This and more streaming now on the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
GPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors, researchers and scriptwriters, graphic artists, producers, video editors, camera crew. But does a newsroom really need them today? All of us have to think about unique and distinctive value addition that cannot be automated or repeated or replaced by a machine.
ChatGPT may kill many companies.
A human has to be in the loop with an ability to control this.
Dark Side of the Boom. Streaming now.
Well, hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi and you're watching a special episode because Khalistanis have begun their protest in Ottawa as New Delhi patiently awaits Canada's presentation of concrete legal evidence implicating India in the death of Khalistani Tiger Force leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar. It becomes increasingly clear that Prime Minister Trudeau's adherence to Sikh politics prevents him from yielding on this issue. Regardless of the quality of the evidence or intelligence, Trudeau seems poised to implicate an Indian party in Nijjar's murder. It's worth noting that Sikh vote holds substantial significance in Canadian politics. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 2015 visit to Canada, even requested Prime Minister Modi to visit a Gurudwara in Surrey in British Columbia. Interestingly, Prime Minister Modi found support within this Sikh community, despite it being associated with radicalized elements located some 2 hours from Vancouver. In another development, Canada recently updated its travel advisory for India, notifying Indian authorities in advance. This move followed the circulation of videos targeting Canada on the internet. Now, New Delhi received this information at a senior level, signaling that the travel advisory update shouldn't be over-interpreted. Now, Trudeau chose the Canadian Parliament as the platform for levelling unsubstantiated accusations against the Modi government regarding an alleged extrajudicial killing. It's being anticipated that India will respond fittingly in the style of External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar during his upcoming address to the United Nations General Assembly. Now, Jaishankar is set to embark on a visit to Washington, where he will engage in bilateral discussions with the Biden administration as well, addressing issues ranging from bilateral ties to the credibility of the evidence provided by the Five Eyes Alliance to Canada. This concerning Hardeep Singh Nijjar's killing. Now, in a separate development within Canadian politics, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expressed deep embarrassment over the decision to honor a former Nazi soldier in Canada's parliament. But even as the diplomatic rift between India and Canada intensifies over the Hardeep Singh Nijjar case, a small group of pro-Khalistan supporters staged a protest outside the Indian High Commission in Ottawa. Approximately 100 pro-Khalistani demonstrators gathered, brandishing yellow flags bearing the word Khalistan right outside the Indian consulate. And that's not all. Even shouting slogans against India, shouting slogans against the Prime Minister of India. Some reports also suggesting, however not corroborated, that the Indian flag was also burnt. But why? The question is, why were they allowed? Is Canada really peddling soft terrorism like many quarters are alleging? Why are Indian flags being allowed to burn? Why are Indian consulates being encircled? Will safeguarding Sikh politics be the end of this fruitful trade ties between these two countries? Where is this standoff heading, and what's really at stake here? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk about all of this. Let's expand the discussion. Joining me on the broadcast is Ambassador K.P. Fabian, former Indian diplomat, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, defense expert, and Professor Asif Ramiz Daudi, foreign affairs expert, with us on the broadcast. I'm going to quickly go across to the ambassador with us on the show. Ambassador K.P. Fabian, former Indian diplomat. Sir, how should one read the headlines they're reading today in the newspapers, in tabloid headlines, on social media, on X, on various social media posts, you name it? And the India-Canada standoff, it's trending right on the top, from real content to actual politics on the ground. But how should one look at these protests that are taking place? I mean, we come down heavily on protests that are taking place in our own country, be it Tibetan protests, be it protests against China. I mean, we really do take into account the other country's sovereignty and respect and the image of the other country as well. Why is that not being done to India in Canada?